This slide has some of the more difficult concepts that are in 842. One thing I want you to feel confident with 842. It's honestly not that hard of a standard to implement. And I think when you leave here today, I'd like you all to be feeling good about it. And I think after we go through the example, you will. But I want you to balance that with having a little bit of respect for the standard because there's some nuance in it. And there's a lot of nuance in it. And like most things in life, the devil's in the details. Just to give you a sense. The big four firms, they're really good about putting guides out when a new revenue rec comes out or a new lease accounting standard comes out. They write these beautiful guides that really dissect the standard. The Ernst & Young guide on lease accounting is like 500 pages long. There's that much to write about. Probably didn't need to be that long, but maybe they got paid by the page. But again, the devil's in the details here. So here's some of the more complicated things that are in the standard. One thing to be aware of is leases sometimes hide in other contracts. And the standard calls those embedded leases. Okay, a simple example you might even have at home. You might be renting. You might be paying for internet service, right? And maybe your Cox provider gave you a modem. Maybe they gave you a router, and they say, "Hey, pay us $100 a month. We'll provide you with free internet, or provide you with the internet service." So in that case, okay, you've got the internet service, but you have a modem and a router from them. Are you leasing that from them? Is that really an embedded lease? Maybe you have an arrangement with a data center, and the data center provides you with X computing power every month. And so they're providing you that service, but is there a lease embedded in there? Do they have a server that's dedicated to you and running your stuff? And is that really a server you're leasing from them, or is that a service contract? So the warning there is leases can be embedded in other contracts. So that's just an awareness thing. There's a lot of accounting policy elections in this standard. One good example is a discount rate. So we're going to be using discount rates to present value back our lease payments. So the standard gives us a nice accounting election that says, hey, if we don't know what our incremental borrowing rate is, or if that's too difficult to determine, I'll tell you what, just use the risk-free interest rate. And that's an accounting policy election you can make. You can just use the risk-free interest rate, look up some treasury yields, and then you're set. That's a nice accommodation. We have lots of disclosure requirements in 842. Those are all detailed out in the standard. Related party leases require special attention. What we're doing with the related party leases in the standard is we're just using the contractual terms, whatever's enforceable, whatever's written in the contract. So even if you have a sweetheart lease where maybe it's below market because it's a related party, we're just going to go ahead and account for it based on the enforceable rights that are in that contract. And I think that's really all I want to say on this slide. Again, the slides are going to be in your program, so you can kind of read those at your leisure. Maybe the last comment on this page would be, just remember, it's lease accounting, and yeah, it's going to affect your books and records, but this is going to permeate throughout your organization. So, who's signing the leases, who's negotiating them? Are you going to change your strategy knowing that everything's going to be onboarded now versus the old days when they were just buried in the footnote? What's it going to do to ratios? We have some banking friends in the crowd here. Think about, you just saw that example for Amazon, right? We had that big old lease liability. That's all in long term. And the lease liability, some of that's current, some of that's long term. Think what that's going to do to maybe your current ratio or some of those things that you may have covenants on. So it could cause some havoc. So be thinking through those things.